So I was on a vacation with Ari in Tahiti. What did I learn about Tahiti while I was there? The food was expensive. That's the only thing I'll say about Tahiti. That was my only negative, really. That and the French. Wait, I want to tell you a story. Something I learned. I learned a little bit of history. Let me paint you an incredible picture here. It's the late 1700s, and the islands of Tahiti are still completely controlled by their native populace. And the first nation to encounter them is, of course, England. You know, one thing I was reading, I don't remember exactly what I read, but it was something about how, like, throughout human history, the misery of a populace has been correlated with technological advancements. And it makes it so funny because, like, of course England would conquer the world. They're the most miserable country. Like, I look at Tahiti, it's the most beautiful, gorgeous island where everyone is like living in peace and prosperity. And it's, so of course England on this miserable, cold, wet, rainy rock would conquer the world, all right? So England finds Tahiti first and they make contact and they start trading with the locals. And so later there is a plan. This is just the true history of it. It's not pretty or pleasant, but there's like slave plantations in Jamaica that are owned by the UK. And they realize there's a fruit called breadfruit that is grown in Tahiti that can be grown cheaply to feed slave plantations. And so they're like, we need to go to Tahiti, pick up a bunch of breadfruit and get it to Jamaica. That's the UK's plan. And they send a ship called the HMS Bounty, Her Majesty's Bounty, the Bounty. And the plan is to sail all the way down here, around South America, over here, pick up the breadfruit, sail all the way back here and drop it off. That's the plan. Now it looks like a pretty miserable journey in the late 1700s, okay? All just to get cheap food for a slave plantation. Not really a noble mission. And it's captained by one William Bligh, who is a huge asshole. He's like a real stickler for decorum. He makes the crewmen swab the deck every single day and they have to wear their jacket at dinner and terrible journey, long journey. He's very punitive. So they're sailing all this way. And when they get here, it's a huge storm. So he's like, all right, I got a backup plan. We're gonna go this way, around the globe and sail into Tahiti, which they do. But now the journey has taken months longer. And they finally get to Tahiti, the Bounty. And when they get to Tahiti, I have to let you know, it looks like this. Probably not exactly this in the 1700s, but it's beautiful. Okay. So they get to Tahiti and it's gorgeous. All right. And they're like, wait, this is awesome. And the water is clear and there's coconuts and the island they go to, the natives are friendly and give them stuff. It's just a beautiful time. And they're like, wait a minute. Why would we want to leave here? The crew is like, we've been spending months cooped up with William Bligh yelling at us on this miserable journey. And now we're in Tahiti and we're having a great time. And the mission calls for them to grow the breadfruit first and then put the potted plants on the ship. So their plan is to stay in Tahiti for like weeks, if not months. So they spend time there and eventually they start like for example, the first mate, Fletcher Christian, played by, imagine this guy, but less anti-Semitic. All right, this is Fletcher Christian. He's the first mate. And that guy marries one of the native Tahitian women, apparently like the chief's daughter or something. So finally it comes time for them to leave. And the plan is to sail again back this way. And they're like halfway there. They're like getting this way. And Fletcher Christian goes, hey, listen, we're going to hit the same storm again. It's going to be a disaster. I miss my wife back in Tahiti already. I'm thinking we mutiny. The entire crew is like, yeah, dude, William Bligh sucks. He's the worst captain. So they don't kill the captain though. This is the mistake. They mutiny. They take over the ship and they put all of the supporters of the captain and the captain on a rowboat. Think Jack Sparrow style. And they're like, all right, listen, we're not going to kill you, but we're taking the ship. Figure it out. And William Bligh, again, has been an asshole the whole time. But he has some supporters, like a good 13 people, whatever on the ship. They stick with him. And they're all stuck in this little boat and they have like almost no food and they're sure to die. The Bounty sails back to Tahiti. The only problem is they get back to Tahiti and realize that the natives there don't want anything to do with a bunch of mutineers. Like the native chief is like, bro, King George is going to be pissed at me you can't just stay here. Get the out. So the mutineers, who are not good people, by the way, they were just sailors that had an asshole captain, but they're not themselves good people. They kidnap a bunch of women and some men, I think, and say, we're going to sail out to avoid England's grasp and start our own life. So they kidnap people and they sail out. And they're like, their goal is to find some new place to live where England won't find them. Now, here's the thing. How is England even going to know? It's the 1700s. William Bligh, asshole though he may be, sailed in his tiny... Again, I mean, this is not exactly where he got out. I actually think he got out like right here or something. The point is, sailed in his tiny rowboat, island hopping all throughout the South Pacific to get back to, I think, a Dutch settlement where he got picked up and then finally got a ship back to England. He actually clutched it with 13 people, no food, no supplies, no water, tiny boat. Literally Omega clutches life. Gets all the way back. Yeah, like he literally, at one point they get on an island, like a Tahitian island that is not friendly to natives, and the natives kill somebody. The natives grab one of his people, drag them out and kill them. So he's down to like 11 people. They're hungry, they're scared, they're starved, and he gets all the way back to England, where he's put on trial for losing control of his ship. He blames it all on Fletcher Christian. He says he was a brigand who lacked the discipline for sailing. And so, surprisingly, the UK agrees. They go, you know what? You're based, William Bligh. You're a hero. They promote him. And then they send out a bunch of ships to go find what the hell happened. But they don't find them. Well, actually, I'm sorry. Well, it turns out Fletcher Christian, Mel Gibson, found an island that was not on English maps. He found an island that was written about in somebody's old journal, but never put on any maps, called Pitcairn Island. I'm not exactly sure where it is. I think it's like right here. And he settles there and he thinks, England will never find me. I'm a genius. The second they land on this island with their kidnapped women and a few mutineers is they burn the boat so nobody can ever leave. England does not find them. However, decades later, a American whaling vessel, again, I don't even know how they come from here because we're not in the fucking full country yet. An American whaling vessel finds Pitcairn Island by accident. And they show up, and who the is on this island but one surviving mutineer, 9 women, he has 9 wives, and like 37 children. Every one of the mutineers killed each other. There's only one dude left, living with a harem and a bunch of children. Apparently, Fletcher Christian, the man who led this whole expedition, got into a fight and was pushed off of a cliff. Something like that. And to this day, if you go to Pitcairn Island, there is Christian Point or Fletcher Point. I forget what it's called. It's still named after him. The cliff is still named after him to this day. He got into the history books for his mutineering, cowardly ways. Everyone else died. The mission was a disaster. And then the one guy, I guess, made a living telling the story of Fletcher Christian. And that is the story of the Bounty. An incredible globe-spanning journey filled with mutiny. That's one of the interesting things I learned while in Tahiti.